Getting to Ginger Island requires considerable game progress. It takes both time and money to complete either the community center or Joja's community development forum, plus you do need to get materials to repair Willy's boat. A normal playthrough would be pretty happy to do this within a year, but how fast can you really get there? The first summer? How about the first spring? That's too easy, so I'll do it in 3 weeks. Reaching Ginger Island during spring has already been done as part of a couple excellent challenge runs out there, so I'm going to pile on a ton of extra restrictions on myself, banning the usage of several speedrun strategies and techniques. First off, I won't use any sort of in-game cheats, bugs, or exploits like animation cancelling or clipping out of bounds to get places early. Second, I won't use Blade's Map Predictor, a third-party tool, to tell me exactly which rocks to hit in the mines for ladders or where to fish for bubbles. I also won't use the Legacy RNG game option, which allows you to predict the randomizing algorithm to dig up hundreds of clay to sell, totally skipping that super tight early game money squeeze. The one advantage I will grant myself is the use of a game seed, which you can type into the options menu on file creation. My justification is that I'd like this run to be more about planning and execution and less about getting lucky enough for it to rain in the middle of spring so I can go catch catfish. As we kick things off, let's define exactly what goals I need to accomplish. We can't access Ginger Island until we get a letter from Willy to repair his boat, and that won't happen until the day after we finish fixing up the town. Repairing the community center isn't viable, since you need to gather items from all 4 seasons. Going the Joja route, however, we can demolish the community center, destroying the spirit of a small town in the interest of going fast, allowing us to simply pay straight cash to get the town fixed up. In total, I'll need to pay about 140,000 gold to purchase a Joja membership alongside all of the town repair projects. That's a lot of money for a brand new file. What might be even more difficult than getting the money I need is getting the materials to fix up Willy's boat. Battery packs typically aren't available until your first summer, when thunderstorms start showing up. However, slaying iridium bats deep in the skull caverns will net me a battery pack 5% of the time, which is difficult but possible. Also, 200 hardwood is a lot to ask for in the early game. Breaking down a stump nets like 2 hardwood, and there isn't enough time to grow my own mahogany trees. For this reason, I ended up selecting the forest farm to take advantage of the respawning large stumps on the farm, so I don't need to spend 2 weeks running to the secret woods and back to gather enough hardwood. I don't have time for that. So let's get started. The first day of any Stardew farm is pretty restrictive. You can't go fishing, you can't go mining, and you have 0 infrastructure in place to get much farming done. Essentially, you generally can't earn any useful amount of money to get the ball rolling. I have a big purchase I'd like to make on day 2, so I'll need to scrape up whatever loose change I can find lying around. I don't plan on doing very much farming, so I sell my starting parsnip seeds to front load 150 gold as opposed to growing them. I can also sell fiber for 1 gold apiece, sap for 2 gold apiece, and I'll sell whatever forageables I can scrounge up from the great outdoors or from people's trash. I need to save up every penny I can get in order to purchase better fishing gear as soon as possible, and since I really can't do anything else today after foraging the entire map, I also chop a ton of wood so I can get the bridge down by the beach repaired, which will prove to be absolutely essential. Day 2 unlocks the ability to fish, which is the main way I can currently make money. However, fishing with the default fishing rod at level 0 is pretty terrible, so we need to fix that as soon as possible. Once Willy's shop opens up at 9 AM, I run in to pick up a training rod. Now the training rod sucks for making money. What the training rod does do is pretend your fishing level is a minimum of 5 during the fishing minigame, greatly increasing the size of my fishing bar. While the training rod prevents you from catching valuable fish, this makes it far easier to land a perfect catch in which the fish never escapes the fishing bar, which grants 2.4 times the experience. You see, Willy doesn't even sell the fiberglass rod in the shop until you reach fishing level 2, and since I already have plenty of cash on hand, I want to prioritize rushing experience. So why do I want this fiberglass rod so badly? It allows you to equip bait, which reduces the time it takes for a fish to bite by half, which is going to be a huge increase in the rate we can earn money and experience. Rushing early fishing levels makes a big difference. It doesn't just make the fish easier to catch, but higher fishing levels will ensure that you hook high quality fish while fishing in deep waters, and fishing professions earned at levels 5 and 10 multiply the sell value of all fish. With the fiberglass rod in hand, I head out to the mountain lake, which is generally the best fishing spot during spring if it's not raining. My greatest fishing tip for the early game is to bring a chest wherever you plan to go, so You don't have to deal with the crushing inventory management problems brought on by various quality fish and whatever randomized loot shows up in the occasional treasure chest. Also, compare the sell value of your catch compared to how much energy it would restore if you just eat it raw. Running out of energy is no reason to stop fishing. Eating one fish can let you catch 5 more. Iridium quality chubs or smallmouth bass make for the best value snacks while fishing during spring. Another important concept for efficient gameplay is to use every single minute you have in a day. You will pass out from exhaustion at 2 AM, which carries an energy penalty into the next day, as well as the loss of some of your gold, but I don't have very much gold, and your energy will always max out overnight if any of your skills level up that day. It's often a waste of time to walk back to the farm to sleep. Day 3. It's raining because the first 5 days of any new farm have predetermined weather patterns. Normally on a rainy day I'd be off to the town river to fish up catfish, which are twice as valuable as anything I can get from the mountain lake. Despite that, I'm still choosing to head to the lake for a couple of reasons. First, catfish are notoriously difficult to catch at low fishing levels. No matter how skilled you are at fishing, some of them are going to get away. They're so valuable, it's still easily worth fishing there for money if you can catch at least half of them, but I have other concerns. Catfish are terrible for gaining fishing experience because it's very difficult to land a perfect catch, and you can expect a fat 0 experience if the fish gets away from you. Also, I haven't sold any fish yet, since I'm still holding out for fishing level 5 to multiply the sell value of all fish. I can't pick up my fishing profession bonus until I go to sleep tonight, and I need to make some purchases on day 4, which means I'll be heading to Willy's shop that day with as many fish as I can stuff into my little pockets. If I went down to catch catfish on day 3, I'd have serious inventory management problems on day 4. The goal for day 4 is to use my big pile of money from selling fish in order to get a head start on producing metal bars before I have access to the mines, all for the purpose of upgrading my fishing setup as soon as possible. I need Clint to upgrade my axe to a copper axe, since that will let me start gathering hardwood. While I need 200 hardwood in the long term to repair Willy's boat, I also need 20 much more sooner, since they're one of the materials needed to craft fish smokers, which double the value of your fish at the cost of coal. I also need 3 iron bars to craft a bait maker, and I don't want to wait to unlock the mines and progress past 440 to find iron. I bought enough copper ore off of Clint to craft a furnace so I can produce copper bars while fishing. He closes up shop at 4 PM, but that's plenty of time to get 5 bars made and head back to his shop to put in an upgrade for my axe. The rest of the day is spent fishing while getting my iron bars made, which take a lot longer than copper. On day 5, I finally have access to the mines. In the short term, I need to access mine floor 20 as soon as possible to access cave fishing. And in the long term, I need to get to floor 90 by the 14th in order to pick up the obsidian edge to have a usable weapon on hand for Skull Cavern runs. There are some other chores I have to take care of on the same day. My game seed has so much rain forecasted that I really need to head into town today to start the sunny day cutscene that introduces the community center. While I'm out, I also pop down to the beach to check out tide pools. I mentioned back in day 1 it was critically important to gather enough wood that day to repair the bridge to access these tide pools, and that's because coral and sea urchins appear here, and that's why I need to craft a bait maker. While I did find the uncommon sea urchin, I got pretty unlucky with coral. I need 3 of them, and you'd expect 4 or 5 to be here by day 5 with average luck. As for why the bait maker is so important, we'll get back to that once I craft it and put it to use. Since I have so much money on hand, I also pick up a backpack upgrade so I don't need to keep bringing chests everywhere I go to hold extra stuff. The reason I needed to progress the community center questline is not because I plan to fix the place up or anything, but because I can't access the Joja membership until the community center has been unlocked. Returning to the mines, I make it down to floor 20 by the end of the day. You can absolutely get further on your first trip at the mines, but it's a small miracle I got that far with 2 monster-infested floors in my way, plus my little trip to town in the morning that dug into my mining time. Day 6 is variable. Going forward, I'll be alternating between fishing days and mining days, and today is a very lucky day, so I may as well shift around my planned schedule and go to the mines today, since progressing the early floors isn't so bad even without an upgraded pickaxe. This does mean I didn't need to prep so thoroughly with buying iron from Clint on day 4, but I won't say no to a very lucky day I couldn't have predicted ahead of time. I might not get another one of these when it's convenient to go mining. By the end of the day, I've made it down to the iron floors, and since it'll be raining today for some time yet, I sneak in the only microscopic bit of farming I'm planning on doing for the entire playthrough, just to use up some mixed seeds I had on hand. On day 7, we're about a week in, and it seems I've made very little progress towards my long-term goals. how am I going to get my hands on huge piles of money to start paying off Joja and prepare the deep dive to Skull Cavern for battery packs? The truth is, I've been preparing to launch my money-making method like a rocket. My fishing level is coming along nicely, and I've now got all the materials needed to make a bait maker, and I just need to fish up some rare jellies to help me craft fish smokers. The reason I've been holding on to over 10k gold for so long instead of spending it on something is that I've been waiting to purchase the fish smoker recipe from Willy, as well as another secret purchase today. The traveling merchant cart is guaranteed to stock a precious battery pack on the 7th, since the cart's randomized shop inventory is predetermined by Game Seed. After a quick round of fetching hardwood, I ran down to fish in the caves. The big reason it's so important to unlock floor 20 of the mines for fishing is not because you can make a lot of money fishing here, the fish that do bite are just too rare to make it worthwhile, but because I need to get my hands on the annoyingly rare cave jelly as the last material I need for fish smokers. I had a hell of a time finding even one cave jelly, and I was seconds away from closing my game without saving to restart the day before one finally showed up, which I suppose is good enough given I also got an easy sea jelly today without fishing for very long down on the beach. Day 8. Let's talk about the fish smoker and how it's going to make this run possible. At the cost of 1 coal and 50 minutes of wait time, you can smoke your fish, doubling their value. Unlike some forms of processed goods, smoked fish preserve the quality level of the fish you put in, keeping the sale price high. Let's do some math on the economics of this. A piece of coal is valued at 150 gold since I'll need to buy them off Clint in order to keep up with all the smoking I'll do, so the fish I plan to smoke need to be valuable enough to offset the cost of smoking them. The fish I'm smoking while searching for another cave jelly are stonefish, a rare fish from the mines with a base value of 300 gold. Stonefish are rare though, so I'll never get enough of them to run 2 fish smokers continually. In fact, none of the fish from the mines are worth gunning for to effectively make money. Even the lava eel on floor 100 don't justify their insane base value of 700 gold because you'll spend all day there just trying to catch 2 or 3 of them since they only bite around 1 in 20 times you cast out your rod. So what's the real secret to making piles of money, and why am I spending so much time looking for another set of jellies for a second fish smoker? I still need to make well over 100,000 gold in the next 10 days, which is a fairly ridiculous task in the first spring. The answer to all my woes is catfish bait. Remember that bait maker I kept mentioning was really important without explaining why? By tossing in a catfish, it'll spit out 5 to 10 catfish bait. Targeted baits work a bit differently for a particularly rare fish, but for a fairly common fish like catfish, you're almost guaranteed to hook a catfish if it's raining. Genuinely, 90% of my hooks for the rest of the run are going to be catfish. So if I can catch enough catfish to continually run 2 fish smokers while also maintaining a handful of catfish bait, how much money does that make? For the moment, a gold quality smoked catfish sells for about 750 a pop. That's 600 gold in profit per fish when you subtract the price of coal, which I'll be purchasing in bulk from Clint. While I'm out and about in town, it's also a great time to spend 5k picking up the Joja membership, which unlocks Joja upgrades tomorrow. I'm on a bit of a time crunch here since you can only purchase 1 Joja upgrade per day, which you can't put off until the end of the run. Plus, I have to purchase the entire catalog of expensive upgrades by spring 18th because Willy doesn't let you fix up his boat until 2 days after finishing up Joja. Despite funneling many of my early catfish into bait, having a few escape the hook, and taking time to go shopping and chopping today, I still managed to sell over 20,000 gold worth of catfish over day 9. I can make as much money in 1 day as a new player might make in the entire season, and it's only going to get better. On day 10 I had plenty of cash on hand to restock on coal and pick up my first Joja upgrade, the minecarts, which will make my mining days way more efficient by letting me fast travel there. And after a productive day of cat smoking, I managed to sell 28,000 gold worth of smoked catfish. Now we're cooking. Days 11 and 13 are both going to be sunny days, meaning no catfish, so I'll be using them to reach floor 90 in the mines. I do my usual morning routine of chopping the hardwood stumps on the farm before spending the day mining. I made a fairly unimpressive 20 floors of progress. I didn't get fantastic luck finding ladders, And I took a lot of diversions to gather iron ore from rocks and coal from dust sprites, ultimately worth around 15k worth of materials I'll need to craft bombs later, which isn't bad at all, given that today wasn't good for fishing anyway. Day 12 seems like it's going to be another bog standard day of catfishing, but I've got other plans. Around 9 AM I head down to Willy's shop for some more fishing upgrades, now that I'm floating huge piles of cash. The iridium rod is expensive, but it lets you equip fishing tackle alongside bait. They're a bit expensive and degrade quickly with use, but trap bobbers make fish way easier to catch, and dressed spinners make fish bite more frequently. Since I'll need all the inventory space I can get for Skull Cavern runs, I also nabbed the last backpack upgrade while I'm splurging, as well as some copper ore to craft bombs to help me finish the regular mines by tomorrow. So what justifies the purchase of the iridium rod? Will I make the money back catching catfish slightly more efficiently? My real goal is actually to slurp down some trout soup I bought from Willy, boosting my current fishing level of 9 to a temporary 10, making it possible to hook the legend, a super valuable, super difficult one-off fish. With an iridium rod and a trap bobber, I'm able to catch the thing pretty quickly, but I did have to restart the day several times until it was kind enough to bite and kind enough to stay on the hook without escaping. Returning to the river, it's back to catfishing for the rest of the day, and I hit a huge milestone of level 10 fishing thanks to the EXP boost from catching the legend. Now I can sell my smoked legend for over 20,000 gold, and those dressed spinners I still have left over will make the rest of the catfishing I need to do way more efficient. Day 13. I sell the fish I held onto while awaiting level 10 fishing, and then it's right back to the mines after a round of chopping hardwood. Things are starting to look a bit dicey when it comes to my overall timeline. I've got a fair bit of hardwood, but I've only purchased one of the upgrades from Joja, and the elusive battery packs still demand my attention. The goal for today is to reach level 90 in the mine so I can finally get my hands on a decent weapon. I'll need to kill iridium bats in the Skull Caverns for a shot at getting battery packs, and they have 300 HP, so I'm not going to take down dozens of them with a wooden club that does 13 damage. The monsters past floor 80 are fairly dangerous if you don't have a good weapon to fight with, so things got a bit spooky near the finish line. I was able to smoke a few extra fish today while doing my mining, plus there's everything I caught on the 12th, like the legend, and I rolled in a fat 50k gold like it's nothing. Surprisingly, that's barely enough money. I need to do my Skull Cavern preparation now. The Springtime Desert Festival starts on the 15th. Many players probably think of this celebration as something that starts year 2 onwards, but if you can make enough money to repair the bus within a couple weeks of starting a new file, you can enjoy the festivities in your first year. There's a ton of advantages to raiding the Skull Cavern during the festival, and you don't even need to reach the bottom of the regular mines and grab the skull key to unlock the caverns the normal way. Problem is, the caverns are super dangerous. I'm going to need a bunch of food to keep my health up, and the most cost-efficient food I can get my hands on is salad. Despite having over 50k gold on hand at the start of the day, not only am I totally broke again, I'm super worried about money since I'm still really behind on purchasing upgrades from Joja, given I don't have much time left to go fishing. I still need to get a bunch of expensive explosives to bring to the cavern so I can effectively delve down to where iridium bats spawn. However, it looks like I might be able to catch up a bit when it comes to money. Those dressed spinners don't last very long, but I caught so many catfish, I was able to continually run the smokers with a dozen catfish to spare. With a staggering 40 smoked catfish to cash out today, I also sold the fish I didn't have time to smoke, making an incredible 42,000 gold worth of pure catfish, no legend fish padding out the number this time. Day 15, first day of the festival, and I'm not super prepared for it. I have enough money to catch up on Joja upgrades, get my axe upgrade to steel while I'm too busy to take time to go chopping hardwood, while also stocking up on materials for some more cherry bombs. Regular or mega bombs would be much better, but my mining level just isn't high enough to craft them yet. My first day in the caverns is mostly going to be about preparing me for subsequent days by getting my mining level up and earning festival tokens to exchange directly for mega bombs. The Skull Caverns are dangerous and your progress resets to floor 1 every day, and I need to reach floor 51 or deeper to locate iridium bats, which have a slim chance to drop those battery packs I need. The secret to success lies in food, explosives, and staircases. The meal prepared by the desert chef can give speed and luck buffs, perfect for moving efficiently and finding more ladders and shafts hidden under the rocks. Plus, the chef buffs stack with regular meals and drinks, which means you can grab 2 more speed buffs and another luck buff by trading gemstones to the desert merchant for spicy eel and triple shot espresso, since food and drinks don't override each other's buffs. Despite having a terrible pickaxe and not too many bombs, the crazy number of buffs lets you run around like a maniac, quickly descending floors while using staircases to skip floors with few to no rocks to blow up. The footage here of day 15 was actually taken from my prior test run of this Ginger Island challenge because on the real attempt I had to retry a few times for better RNG finding staircases, and in between takes I forgot I stopped recording in order to go to the bathroom. The end result of the real day 15 was actually remarkably similar to this one in terms of depth, but I got a super lucky battery pack in the real thing because I hit a more bats buff from one of the Calico statues that apply random modifiers to the caverns. Let's talk about eggs. Calico eggs are the special festival token you can trade in for goodies, and a lot of them drop from rocks in the Skull Caverns, particularly Calico egg ore nodes that give a shockingly high 50 mining experience each. Doing well in the Skull Caverns increases your egg rating, 1 per every 5 floors descended and 1 for every Calico statue you click on, which have a chance to make the caverns more risky and dangerous. Once you're done with the caverns, you can get your egg rating checked for a huge boost of Calico eggs. These can trade for some wonderful items. The Egg Merchant has a rotating stock of food with luck buffs for mining, and you can also cash in 15 eggs each for Mega Bombs, making Skull Cavern runs surprisingly self-sufficient in terms of explosives. Just craft bombs as you go of the coal and ore you blow up incidentally while descending floors, and cash in your eggs for even more bombs. And while iridium ore from the caverns is super valuable for making into iridium bars to sell or use, you can trade in your ore for more bombs at the Desert Merchant to keep your stock of bombs healthy. I wake up on the real day 16 with a huge pile of mega bombs, a battery pack, and a high enough mining level to put all the iron ore I saved up to good use by crafting them into regular bombs. With a ton of large explosives on hand and all of my buffs active, I'm ready to do a super deep dive into the Skull Caverns. On floor 52 I hit the coveted more bats buff from a Calico statue, so I'm ready to spend the rest of the run hunting bats and I don't need to prioritize descending floors or grabbing piles of iridium ore. Things get pretty dicey down there, since iridium bats do a ton of damage if they make contact, and I ended up having to deal with a ton of other dangerous effects like more serpents, dangerous mummies, more ghosts, and assassin bugs. Plus, I'm constantly taking damage from my own mega bombs and eating all my salad at a furious rate. However, thanks to floors like floor 80, I had dozens of bats to kill, and even a 5% drop rate is going to cough up battery packs eventually when faced with such a large quantity. By the end of day 16, I got an incredible 3 battery packs from one Skull Cavern run, and more than enough iridium to make the bars I need. With the 4 battery packs obtained over 2 Skull Cavern runs, plus the one I bought from the Traveling Merchant on the 7th, I'm completely done with the most difficult item to obtain for the challenge. It's kind of ironic how plentiful these things are in the summertime once thunderstorms start happening, but they're a nightmare to get in your first spring. So what's left? I don't even need to attend the last day of the Desert Festival, which is a godsend since I still haven't finished getting money for Joja. Actually, the Skull Cavern during the festival is super crazy lucrative if you have explosives to use up, since iridium bars sell for a whopping 1.5k each at level 10 mining. But they take a really long time to smelt, and I barely have any smelters. I need to put in for a Joja upgrade on the 17th, which I can barely afford by selling crap from the mines. If I went mining today, I could have made a disgusting pile of money worth of iridium, but I would have lost an opportunity to get a Joja upgrade done. Nor could I process all the ore quickly into bars to enjoy that money before I run out of time. Fishing gives me a quicker return, since I need to be completely finished with money by tomorrow. By the 18th, the run is pretty much complete. I'm just time-gated by overnight cutscenes at this point. I'm still short like 90 hardwood since I skipped a lot of chopping days doing other stuff, but the steel axe can break large logs for a hefty 10 hardwood each, and the forest farm is just littered with them. They'll never respawn, but it's plenty enough to finish getting 200 hardwood. I haven't gone to the secret woods a single time this run, and I never will. I run off to Joja to pick up the final Joja upgrade and head back home for a well-earned 10 AM sleep. Day 19. I can do absolutely nothing today. I'm supposed to get a congratulations cutscene for finishing Joja, but it's raining, so they didn't bother holding the celebration. Thankfully, as I learned doing research and testing for this run, you don't actually need to view this cutscene. Willy will still invite you to the back room of his shop on the day after you could have viewed the congratulations cutscene. Just to check, I did hop by Willy's shop to see if he'll let you into the back room early, but he insists on making you wait, so I went back home for another well-earned 10 AM sleep. Day 20, and I can finally take my goods to Willy's shop to repair his boat. I don't know why he needs an iridium anchor for this. It kind of feels like he's taking advantage of me. Plus, these battery packs I fought for my life to obtain are just to repair a little ticket kiosk. Willy, you already run a shop. You own a cash register. Just sell tickets up front. You monster. I'm going to bed at 10 a.m. Day 21 and we're finally ready for our beach vacation. I get ambushed by some sort of corporate pizza party since it's finally not raining, but by 9 a.m. I'm ready to hit the shores of Ginger Island and call this run a success. Hey kid, want a soda? He must be scared of corporations. Anyway, that's Ginger Island in 3 weeks. I think this run could be faster if you got super lucky and fished up Neptune's glaive from a treasure chest before hitting the mines, making early mines progress way more efficient. Plus, it took me like 2 days to find the elusive jellies I needed for fish smokers, which could be cut down to 1 day if you got really lucky or preloaded on sea jelly while fishing the beach on day 2. Overall, I'm still really proud of how this run went and what I was able to showcase. If anyone else wants to beat this using the same rules and restrictions, I'll be rooting you on. This run was heavily inspired by GamerGar, who does Stardew challenges with a similar philosophy of no glitches, current patch, and all those little things that make these challenges harder, but a bit more grounded and relatable to every one of us who fell in love with Stardew Valley. As for me, I'm going to vanish for an undetermined period of 1 to 48 months to go watch wrestling on my television. Cheers.